Hey, what's up everyone, the French Monkey here, and today we are going to take a look at the new NoiseScape for Cinema 4D. So for those of you who don't know, NoiseScape is pretty much a tool to create procedural mesh, as you can see here on the official Instagram account, where I am showcasing the uses of NoiseScape inside of Cinema 4D. So we have a lot of primitives that I've added in these new versions, as well as a lot of new blend methods, new displacement methods that I will be showing you today. So yeah, and of course, you know, NoiseScape has been around since almost 4 years now. I released the beta version back in 2017, and since then, you know, I had a lot of feedbacks. A lot of people have been using it since then, and it's pretty much been the only plugin that I ever used inside of Cinema 4D. And yeah, I'm glad to finally be releasing a full version of it. So all of these are part of my everyday project, and all of these projects are also available to download here on the site. So yeah, let's jump inside of Cinema 4D and let's see what it's all about. So the plugin comes as a content browser library, so I will have a text inside of the pack to show you how to install it, but it's pretty straightforward. Once you have the library installed, you can go to your content browser, and here you will see the NoiseScape version 2, and inside of it we have a couple of folders. We have some plane surfaces, some primitives, some presets, some shaders, and of course we have this new NoiseScape reference object, and this will allow you to pretty much add your own objects inside of the setup and you know, play around the sliders that I have. So let's go inside of the primitive, and I'm going to show you here pretty much what's available. So we have all of the Cinema 4D primitives. All of the primitives comes with the NoiseScape integrated, and also with all the parameters of each primitive. So I'm going to show you pretty much here on the plane, something basic and easy to pretty much see. And we have here our NoiseScape plane, and as you can see here we have all of the controllers. So it's a little bit intimidating at first with everything here inside, but it's very easy once you get around, you know, the settings. So I'm going to close all of these, and this is pretty much the all of the options at your hand using the NoiseScape. So first of all, we have our primitive parameters. So every primitive will come with their own settings. So for the plane, we have pretty much the height, width, and the segments. So, you know, it's easy startup. So I'm going to add this back to 500. Then we have our mesh setup. So this is where every displacement will happen pretty much. And NoiseScape is pretty much a blend between 3 different layers of displacement. So our noise, tile, and brick. And you can see here we have the strength of the displacement, the height as well, and the blend between those 3 layers of displacement. So I'm going to turn off those 2 so we can start off something new, and I can show you pretty much how I'm personally working with it. So I'm going to leave my plane parameters open, because the segments are, you know, the sliders that you will probably use the most. So I'm going to leave this at yeah, something like that, and I'm going to go to my first displacement, which is the noise. And right here we have all of the options that we are going to need for you know, to create our thing. So I'm going to go to my noise, and I'm going to select pretty much something that looks interesting. So I'm going to go with I don't know, I'm going to go with the mod noise. And as you can see, we have our seed, we have our octave. So our octave doesn't work with all of the noise, just have that in mind. So on Nike it's working. I'm gonna go to my mod noise. We have our global scale, so I'm gonna, you know, add something like this. And of course we have some contrast that we can play around with. We can animate, of course. So I'm gonna leave this at 0, and we have our animation loop. So by default, our animation loop is set to 4 periods. So one period is 1 second. So I'm currently working on 24 frames per second. So 24 by 4 is 96. So this is why it's set to 4. And we have, of course, our animation speed. So yeah, that's pretty nice to have. And once you are satisfied with your first layer of displacement, you can then add something else. So we have our tile layer. I'm going to add that to 100. And we can see now that we have on top of our noise displacement, this tile displacement. So I'm going to close my noise. I'm going to go to my tile. And here we also have some options. We have, you know, a lot of different tile presets. So I'm going to go with this circle one. You have your seed, your global scale as well. So I'm going to add something, yep. And you have some the independent scaling settings, some bevel options. And yeah, so I like this. I'm going to leave it as it is. And of course, you can go to your noise again and change anything that you may want. So I'm going to add Nike here because I like, you know, this kind of animation. And I'm going to close those two. And I'm going to open my brick one. I'm going to add my blend to it. And as you can see, it's already it's already interesting to look at. And I'm going to add at this point more segments to my plane so I can really see what's happening displacement wise. And here under the brick, you know, you have some scaling options. You can shift, you know, every 2-3 row. There's some variations on the height, on the slopes, intensity, your seeds, and some gaps options. Ah, yeah, I like that. And of course, you can always come back to your tile and change that. I'm gonna try hexagon again. Yeah. And I'm gonna add more height to my displacement. And now I can play around, you know, my segments to see if it's changing anything. Yep, yeah. And of course, you know, I'm gonna turn that down and our animation is still going. So that's pretty nice. So I'm gonna add that to 500 again. And once we have our mesh or blend here set up, so you know, you can always turn back down this thing so we can have a little bit more noise going around. I'm gonna go to my smoothing option. So by default, it's set to 20%. So, you know, this will smooth out all of your mesh. I'm gonna leave this at 20% and I'm gonna go to my subdivision. So you have two options, hard subdivision and smooth subdivision. The hard one will keep the hard edges and the smooth one with smooth everything. So I'm gonna go with smooth. And of course, on top of that, we can also add some deformers. So we have bend, twist, formula, and jiggle. So I might add for this one some formula. So I'm going to close my subdivision and I'm going to turn down my segments just to see what's happening. So of course here we have the animation of the noise and on top of that we have our formula displacement animation. So yeah, and I'm going to turn that down. Yeah, and now we have something like this that is already animated without any keyframe, and it's also loopable. So of course you will need to add more segments to see what's happening and add back your subdivision. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So this is the basic principle of the NoiseScape plugin. And we've been working on the plane now, so I'm going to delete that and I'm going to load another primitive. So I'm going to go with the torus, and by default it's going to be like that. And of course here as well we have the parameters of our torus, radius, our segments. We can also slice it, and I'm going to try really quickly to do something interesting. So I'm just going to select my radius, I'm going to go to my mesh, I'm going to solo out my noise to try and find something that I want. And yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Voronoi one. Might add some clipping, and I'm going to add some tile. I'm going to go to my tile and I'm going to change that to circle, turn that down. I'm going to add more segments, and now I'm going to add some brick blend. Yep, yeah, I might add more displacement to it so we can really see what's happening. And it's a nice way to just be able to see at hand and change everything really quickly. Like that. Yeah. All right, I'm going to add a subdivision. And we have something that looks kind of cool. And I might even add more segments to it. And as you can see, now all I need to do is just add light, a texture, and we are done. So yeah, that's pretty much how NoiseScape works. I wanted to create a tool that works around displacement and is easy to just have something made in a couple of seconds. So yeah, so I'm going to go back to my content browser, and beside all of the primitive, we also have some plane surfaces. And the difference with this is that I soloed out some of the displacement patterns. So we have the brick on its own, the noise on its own, the tiles, the water. I added some pavement and some fire. So I'm going to go through the brick one just so that I can show you how to work with individual displacement. And the brick shader is a very interesting one because it can change very quickly depending on the number of segments that you have. So if you like something like that, you can simply go to your subdivision, add a couple of subdivision, and you have something already you can work with. Yeah, so now I'm just changing the scale of my bricks. And yeah, and the nice thing about the setup is that, even though the brick doesn't have any animation, I can simply go to my formula effector and add some, and I have some animation ready. And just to show you a couple of animations that I've been making using this method, so I'm going to show you pretty much, you know, all of these are really simple animation that I made in a couple of minutes. Using the noise. Here again, using some primitives. Sphere. So yeah, all of these were made in a couple of minutes. So I wanted to show you as well a couple of other stuff that I included. So we have our custom plane. So the custom plane is pretty much something that doesn't have any shader. So I wanted to have something that you can work on if you want to add your own displacement maps or your own shaders to the mix, or just create, you know, add here a noise and try to play around a couple of variations. And the nice thing is that inside of the content browser, you also have some presets that you can drag and drop and just have, you know, some ready to go displacement. And of course, some of them are already animated. So, you know, it's a really nice way to, you know, just get going. And yeah, and of course, you can always go into the shader itself and change anything. So yeah, that's the custom plane NoiseScape setup. And I'm gonna go back and show you some other surfaces. So we have some interesting one. The fire one is very interesting, and I wanted to include that because I'm sure some of you will find a way to pretty much bake those displacement. And the nice thing about the fire one is that, you know, it's already animated. And I'm going to turn that down. I'm going to boost up the frequencies, and I'm going to change my color presets. And you can create this kind of, you know, dripping water effect. So of course, I'm going to smooth this out, add a subdivision, and yeah. So, you know, you can create interesting looks in a couple of seconds, which is very useful. And of course, we have the water setup. So the water setup is also very interesting because, you know, it always takes time to create these kind of things inside of Cinema 4D. And I wanted to have something that's ready. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So you can here as well load some presets. I'm going to lower my height, and you have here also your frequencies and the speed of the water. And the nice thing about that is you can also play around. So I'm going to lower my segments. I'm going to stop that. And I'm going to add a atom array. So I've been playing around adding atom array a lot because it really gives, you know, interesting looks. And I'm going to go to my NoiseScape, I'm going to turn down the height, and I'm going to add some twist to it. I'm going to go a little bit crazy with it. And now if you press play, you know, and play around the segments, you know, you can have this kind of crazy looks. So yeah, these are the kind of setup that will have taken, you know, a couple of minutes to figure out how to do in Cinema 4D, and now, yeah, you know, you can create these kind of things very quickly. So yeah, I'm gonna try to play around this thing a little bit more, add more displacement, more wind. And yeah, you understand the basic properties of this thing. So yeah, I'm gonna go back to my content browser now, and I'm gonna show you what's also included. I added a lot of presets, so you know, a lot of primitive presets that you can, you know, load and play around with. So here we have a capsule preset that I've made, and of course, you know, all the parameters are here, and you can change everything from the tile setup, even the noise I used. And the blend, of course. So yeah, I'm gonna try and load something else. I added some plane and cylinder like that. So I usually use those with an atom array. So 1 and 0.2. And I'm just gonna press play. And yeah, I'm gonna add less segments. So yeah, these are kind of the presets that I've been making here, so you can have you know, something to start off with, some cube presets. And I also wanted to show you the reference presets. So I'm gonna load this one. So this is one of the assets available in the TFMSTYLE Everyday's asset pack. And what I did is simply added to my NoiseScape reference the object right here. And now, as you can see, the NoiseScape, the object has the NoiseScape integrated. And from here, I can change everything that has to do with its displacement. So we have our tile, our blend, and of course, we also have the smoothing and the deformers as well. So I guess that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you will find this plugin as useful as it's been for me for the last couple of years now. And yeah, if you have any questions, let me know, of course, and I will be sure to answer that. All right, and that's it for this video. Cheers, everyone. Keep on rendering, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.